Welcome to Nuanced Beauty. This podcast is intended to be a spot where my husband Bill and I will capture some complex thoughts and challenge us to hold to our opinions loosely so that we can see the beauty in others and the beauty in ourselves. I want to challenge us to dive deeper into those everyday topics and those sticky topics that we might shy away from, or we might bulldoze over others with our opinions. Because I think there's wisdom in this idea that if we all thought exactly the same, there would be no need for anyone else. So let's have a conversation and let's get nuanced. Hi guys, welcome back to Nuanced Beauty. This week I have another interview in line for you guys. Today I'm chatting with my friend Daemey, and Daemey is a hairstylist. And for those of you who don't know, which I think is most people, I am super casual about my hair. And I am sure that causes Daemey severe heartburn. But she loves me anyways. We can be friends despite the fact that I am just very cash about my hair choices. Daemey, welcome. Thank you so much for doing an episode with me.
Thank you for having me.
To get us kicked off, I wanted to just ask, what got you interested in doing hair? Is it something you always wanted to do, or how'd you kind of come about it?
Not, in hindsight, maybe I did. I remember taking down all my Barbies and dolls' hair and brushing their synthetic hair and making a hot mess. And then deciding I couldn't do anything with it and cutting it off. But I didn't consciously know I wanted to do hair.
At that time, yeah.
No, it wasn't. I really enjoyed actually doing makeup. And I went to a beauty school and the salesman was really good. And he's like, you should learn the whole look, hair and makeup, and you could do weddings. Yeah. So
Okay.
I went to beauty school and we ended up just spending about a day on makeup and the rest was all hair. So
oh my gosh, that tells you what's more challenging, right?
I kind of fell into the hair by mistake. And it wasn't until I worked at a high-end salon where I had all this continuous education that really taught me the art of hair, when I really truly fell in love with doing it.
Okay. So kind of from there, take us into your experience. Like you just mentioned a high-end salon. Take us back to beauty school and then going kind of from there, where have you done hair and such?
Okay. Well, my beauty school was correlated with Hair Cuttery. So if you graduated from the school, you had an automatic job with Hair Cuttery, which is kind of like a mom pop go in, go out kind of.
Like
Yes,
a chain.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I worked there about 6 months and realized I was kind of just learning to do the same thing on everyone.
Oh,
And
okay.
I just wanted a boutique kind of upscale salon. I didn't know what it was called back then. I just wanted something different. So I just applied to a salon that I thought looked cute and I was hired. And it ended up being an AVEDA salon. And AVEDA is so good with their continuous education. So there at that salon, they had a level system. So I started at the bottom, which was so good to not feel that pressure to charge as much as experienced stylists and feel like I had to perform as good as them. If anyone had me doing their hair, they knew they were getting a starter person or an apprentice per se. And my boss, which was also the owner, would come and check my work. So it just gave me a space where I could make mistakes or I could just be new and get experience through that. And they also provided classes every Monday that we had to go to. So it was there at that salon where I really learned the art of hair. And
Okay.
then, yeah, then I took about 5 years off behind the chair when I had my first daughter, and went back to work. By then, I had already had a second child, and I went back to work at a little um, salon in California and worked there about 6 months, and then went to a really bougie salon in Coronado. And there, it's an
Yes.
island.
Ugh,
Yeah.
you say
And
Coronado, and I think of the hotel, and I think of this
yes.
like sushi place because for some reason when I was on Coronado Island, we had sushi.
Well, if you're gonna have sushi, you should on an island, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I worked down the street from Coronado, Hotel
A
Del.
hotel. Okay.
Um, yeah, they call it Hotel Del. It's really called Hotel Del Coronado, but everyone around there calls it Hotel Del. But
Oh,
I
okay.
worked there, yeah, and it was stressful. It was very high maintenance clients, and I had some really sweet ones too, really awesome ones too, but I learned the art of the business side of hair, and just being professional. And it was a full time. I had two kids at the time, and it was just it took it was great, but it took its toll. I got really burnt out,
Mm,
and I ended up going booth rent after working there for 3 years. And booth rent was one of the scariest things for me because I could no longer use Aveda, because Aveda is very
oh, like you
you
mean the salon products. So because you
right.
went the route of a booth, like Aveda has a very like specific contract who can use them as
Exactly.
much.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay. So you
You
had to
have
like
to be in Aveda
adapt.
Salon. Yeah. I had to learn a whole new hairline.
Okay.
And that was just so scary because I knew Aveda like the back of my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And just trusting myself just to be able to learn something new when you're so um, just knowledgeable in one aspect of it, and like having to switch, it was scary.
Okay.
And running my own books and scheduling myself and buying all my own products, like it was just such a shift, because at a commission based salon, which was where I was before, you don't book your own appointments, you don't buy your own products, you don't do any of that, but
Mm-hmm.
you only receive a commission. So you always are paying, making the rich richer, right?
Yeah. So you're kind of, it sounds like
Yeah.
you're limited on how much you can
Mhm,
make, but it almost
mhm,
sounds like from what you're describing that like a booth sounds like a higher risk because of
yeah.
all the variables that you have under you, but
Mhm.
potentially a higher reward.
For sure. As a mom, especially, my idea of success wasn't like everyone else's. My idea of success was being able to still help my family financially, still do what I love doing, but be
Hmm.
able to make it to a field trip and be able to go to a show at my kids' school. And that gave me the flexibility. I could schedule my own stuff. And if I knew something ahead of time, I could just block that time out and be there. That's what I really love also about my industry too, is the flexibility that
Hmm.
you can have. Yeah.
And then that
And
like
then
fast forward to most recently, it sounds like the time that you spent renting a booth kind of prepared you to now because you're doing hair from home.
I am. So I mean, COVID happened and everyone had to adjust during COVID. And that's what really honestly prompted me to doing hair from home at first, just taking care of my friends and family and making sure they weren't making big mistakes with their own hair.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And my husband ended up building me a she shed, which was so lovely, and I loved it. My clients loved it, and they all came to me there in our backyard. It was wonderful. But then we moved here to Florida, and I no longer have my she shed,
Uh-huh.
but I do work from home because we had our fourth child, and it gives me the flexibility to do it part time and still mom hard.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like you've shared that, like, one of the beautiful parts about that, I think, taking back to like your first experience in a chain place versus
Mhm,
the bougie salon and then the booth
mhm,
and from home, the client relationships. Like, I feel like the first time you did my hair, so a little more context. I will go a long time without getting my hair done. Daemey did my hair once last year, and I approached her like maybe 2 months ago, and I said, "Okay, lady, I'm gonna make a commitment to try and cut my hair 4 times this year." But so I'm making for me, like, a commitment to actually like care about my hair. But back to the first time we got together and she did my hair, she shared just how much connection that you get. Like, there's
mhm,
such a cool relational aspect of like
mhm,
doing someone's hair for a couple hours and getting to know them and seeing them every couple months, right?
mhm. Yes, and you one thing about our industry or my industry that's different than a lot of people's is that we have physical contact with our clients. Besides doctors, there's not many people in
Touching
any
people.
yeah, you don't touch people. Even if it's on their head, it's intimate. So it
Yeah.
does create a bond between you and your client, and
Uh-huh.
also just that one-on-one time of just you're faced with an hour or two with each other, and that rarely happens these days, I feel like.
Yeah, that much
Um
time of like conversation, like one on one and like
mhm,
focus. I mean, obviously we all
yeah,
have our phones as a distraction, but
right.
being like I could see where you could have more space, especially working from home. Like,
Mhm,
the relational aspect is probably even greater or better because you're kind of like word of mouth, right?
right, for sure, and you're inviting them in your home, which is vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So having people come to you, it's a sweet relationship. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I get to do what I love,
Uh-huh.
and I get to be around people that I love, and just that time together. I mean, I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah. I have a handful of questions kind of in the spirit of nuanced beauty, kind of like trying to think through like where the tensions are and such. And so the first question that I came up with was, how do you manage expectations when a client comes in with a celebrity photo and they ask you to make their hair look just like that?
Yeah. Oh, that's a tough one. That's been years of experience and probably saying the wrong things a lot of times, but I
Do
I
you get that
do always
often?
I do. Well,
Okay.
I used to, especially when I was like when the Kardashians came out and everyone was bringing me the Kardashian
What is
hair.
their hair? Can
It,
you give me a
well,
description? I'm not, like I
it's
told you,
all
I am
over the
so out
place.
of touch.
Well, one, they all have dark hair naturally, but one went super blonde. And if you're bringing me this picture, this then
Oh,
that's my opportunity to educate. I want to educate you, right? And I want to just tell you, hey, she didn't go to the salon one day and walk out like this, right? Like
uh-huh.
these looks take time and money and maintenance. So if you're willing to invest in your hair and maintain your hair, let's do it. But most people don't realize the maintenance that's behind everything, or even extensions. I do I like to tell people, you don't know what's really their hair. They've used extensions. You
Okay.
know who There's all sorts of things. Pictures are so deceiving.
Oh, yeah, like
So,
that, like that's not like that could potentially be a photo with extensions in. Oh, okay.
right. Or just they're not black hair one day and platinum blonde the next.
That's
Like
a
your hair
wig.
will be
Do you
like
think they have a
cotton.
wig?
Yeah. I don't know about a wig, but I think it's just time. I mean, it might be a wig, but the Kardashians have the money to
Do you think they have like a
invest
person
that
on staff in their house, like just doing their,
probably. Yeah, I
yeah.
would assume. Yeah. I mean, at least styling it, maybe not coloring it. That they might go to a salon for that, but I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I think at the end of the day, it's a relationship and it's built on trust. And when your clients are coming to you for the first time, I think it's a very delicate subject, and you have to approach it with um, a lot of caution and not just say, well, that's not going to look good on you. You can't, you have to be courteous, but just, I think over time, and when your client feels like they can trust you, they're eventually going to say, well, why don't you just do what you think? And that's the best thing a client can tell you, because in those words, they're telling you, I trust you completely. And that takes a lot for people sometimes to say and be able to do that.
Oh my gosh. So
So,
do you think it's weird that like I came to you and I'm just like, I don't care, just do whatever.
well, I mean,
Am
there's
I the
different
anomaly, Daemey?
personalities. No, 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 no. There's different personalities for sure. And some people don't care, and that's fun. Like, I enjoy just, okay, let me do what I think. Um, but again, like if you showed me a picture of someone who had their hair blown dry and round brushed and highlighted, I would tell you, well, Christina, this might not look the same
Like
on you unless you're willing to round brush your hair and highlight your hair, you know?
mm-hmm.
So just
Yeah.
finding ways to communicate what should be
The
said
level of effort
in
it
a
might
sweet
take
way.
me to like
Yes.
maintain this look.
Yes. And
Gosh.
maybe show you some products or something you could use on your hair to make it happen.
Okay. So then like with that, how this kind of ties in, but how do you guide a picky or particular client into a better haircut for their hair type? Or um is it more so like I'm gonna stick with like the mentality that the client is always right? Or is there a little give and take, like
Mhm. There's a
guiding?
lot of nuance.
Uh-huh. Do you
Yeah.
feel like you had it more so at the expensive salon, or it doesn't make a difference where you've done hair? Like it's just the person.
I mean, it's just the person for
Okay.
sure. I think one trick I've learned to do, and I feel like people really like it and enjoy it and take to it, is before their haircut, I'll go to Pinterest or even on my own Instagram page and find some cuts that I think would look good on them
Mm-hmm.
and suggest that to them beforehand and say, hey, I was thinking about you. I think these looks would look good on you. And a lot of times people will say straightforward, like, oh, I'm not comfortable with going that short.
Oh, okay.
I mean, in so
Yeah.
many hair classes, they'll say, you're the professional. You tell the client what you should do. But then I have so many clients that sit in my chair and say, like, my hairstylist, one, they say my hairstylist didn't offer change. That's like the main reason people leave their hairstylist. But
Oh,
also
okay.
they felt like they weren't being heard. So I personally don't want to make my clients feel like I'm not listening. So I hear what their request is, and I always try to deliver exactly what they're asking. And if they ask me for my opinion, I'll give it, and it will probably be different than what they're asking for, but
Uh-huh.
I don't push what I think they should do. But if I'm
Uh-huh.
asked, I'll suggest something for sure.
Gotcha. Um, so that leads a little bit into the next question I had. So you recently turned the big 40. Happy
Oh
happy birthday, Davy.
my
Um,
God.
And you shared a very, very great list of just life advice. And one of the things that was on this list was not using store-bought hair dyes. And I have a
Yes,
feeling that this has to do with like it's really crappy chemicals and you don't
for
know what
sure.
to expect.
Yes.
But I'm wondering if you have like horror stories related to this or
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, for sure, especially with people trying to go blonde
Okay.
so
Like
many
hair
times.
falling
Yeah.
out.
No, like hair turning green
Okay.
or yeah, for sure getting over processed frying and like falling out. Yes. Yes, I've had that before.
Oh,
That's not the norm. Sometimes it comes out great, especially if you're going darker. It's always safer to go darker than go lighter.
oh, okay. Like if
Mhm.
you were gonna do a store-bought box, you mean, or just in general, going darker
In
is
general,
okay.
darker is going darker. I mean, how safer, but a lot of times when people do store bought, it's black, and they didn't mean to go black. There's a
Oh,
reason we
okay.
go to school for this. There's so much color theory. It blows my mind that someone would just go to store and buy a box. Like it
And
just blows my
it shows
mind.
you on the back. It's like if your hair kind of looks like this, it'll probably look
Yeah.
like this. And if it looks like this, it'll look like this. And if it looks like that, it'll look like that. But I do like I've gone to beauty school a couple times because I am
Mhm,
pretty like laissez-faire about my hair.
mhm,
I've done beauty schools because I don't mind. Like I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Like you could do some highlights, you could do whatever, to kind of like give them an opportunity. And also because like legit, like I'm fine with how it turns out. Uh,
mhm,
but they usually have like a teacher come by and they have like a conversation and they throw in words that I don't understand sometimes.
mhm,
And like there's like something about like the follicle or something. And like, oh, like
mhm,
I think you're like this isn't gonna take well or such.
mhm.
And
Yeah. I mean, the thicker the hair is, the more that, I mean, just that cuticle is just like, have you seen where people try to go blonde and it's orange? Like it,
uh
the
I maybe
different, yeah. Your hair, because it's
it's super
finer,
fine. Yeah.
yeah, it probably does exactly what the box says, but that's not 90% of the population. Like,
Oh,
not
okay.
everyone's gonna go and read what the box says, and that's gonna work on them because everyone's hair texture is different. And I'm
So the
coming in with much
thickness.
darker hair and the underlying pigment of hair. Like, there's just so much color theory
Uh-huh.
that
Needs to be
you
kind
have
of
to take in
applied.
consideration. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then that probably like that plays into like you said earlier about like the products that you're using. You got so used to using
Veda.
Aveda. There we go.
Yeah.
Aveda products, and then had to change to another one. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing they all have their own color line. It would be like going to Home
Yeah.
Depot and looking at the Bayer line and then going to the other wall that's I don't know, pick
Yeah.
your paint supplier. Ugh.
That's a good comparison. Yeah. It's just, it's not other color, all like there's basic your color wheel, right? Color, that's basic, but Aveda was very unique in the sense where I could add my color pigment to my natural colors. So, for example, if someone wanted to go a light brown, but they wanted zero red in it, I could add whatever I needed to not make it red.
Okay.
Where when I switched, I went with Schwarzkopf. Schwarzkopf comes already pre-mixed in this, and so it already has the color pigment in it. So I find the brown, but it's like a brown red or a brown um not red.
Okay, like to
We would
yeah.
say like an ash brown.
Okay.
So it comes already mixed, where with Aveda, I could personalize it and mix whatever I thought the hair needed. So if I
Uh-huh.
needed something to cover gray, I could add to it. If I needed anti-red, I could add to it, etc. Um,
Okay.
So it just takes a
Sounds like
minute
you're
to get used
a
to.
mixologist. Is that a word they
For
use?
sure.
Mixologist?
Yeah, like a chemist.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're also taking into account what's going on at the root and then the mid shaft and the ends. So you might have to mix different things for different areas of the head. So there's a lot of things. But I mean, going back to just professional products as opposed to store-bought products, uh, I like to compare it to, like, do you like eating whole, right? When we try to eat whole,
Uh-huh.
we eat healthier foods. We go to, Whole
Get the
Foods
more
or
nutrient dense,
yes,
organic, not
yes,
treated.
that's my idea of what professional hair products are. Or you can go to McDonald's. That's the grocery store stuff.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the center aisles of the grocery store.
Yes,
I gotcha.
exactly.
If
And I'm
oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
Also, just to throw in there, a side note is when you're buying products from a hairstylist, you're also supporting her business. So that's also almost worth sometimes paying a few extra dollars, even if it's also not, if you don't care about the quality of product. But
Hmm.
a lot of times hairstylists are moms, and that extra income from the commission they make from their products pays
Mm,
for their kids' soccer, So there's also that small business mindset, right? To
aspect.
help
Yeah.
support someone if you buy products from them.
Hmm. That's a good point. Um, you had kind of mentioned like going back to all the various settings that you have done hair. And
Mhm.
if a fellow hairstylist happened to be listening to this episode, um, and they're feeling stuck, or they've only done one of the many like ways of working in professionally as a hairstylist, how would you encourage them to branch out if they're feeling like they need to change things up?
Right. Well, my I feel like I've come full circle, right, with all the places I've worked and all the experiences I've had. But I don't think I could have started off working at home.
Okay.
I think it was necessary for me to work at the commission based to learn,
Like learn your
you
craft.
know, learn my craft for sure. And then the booth rent to learn how to run a business. And now working from home, I'm confident in all those other areas.
Hmm.
Where if I had gone from beauty school to just work from home and I didn't have a clientele or anything like that, or even that confidence, I don't know that I would have been successful. For one, so that's one thing I would say is like, you're where you're at, like wherever you are, learn as much as you can. Get as much education as you can. Learn from other girls around you, the other hairstylists, you know and I think, like I was saying about the booth rent, that was my idea of success, is having that flexibility of my schedule. But
Hmm.
it wasn't so that I could go. It wasn't I do see sometimes where hairstylists would be like, well, I'm going to take the day off, I'm going to go to the beach, so I'm just going to move my clients to tomorrow. Well, that's not taking your business seriously either.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, you might lose some clients. Yeah,
right. Yeah, you gotta still treat it um
with a level of
like
commitment, maybe.
professionally. Yeah, with
Hmm.
commitment for sure. So I would say if you know you need a change, because a lot of hair salons can be super toxic too. It's a lot of drama. It's not always wonderful.
Hmm.
So finding a good place where other stylists, not just girls, there's plenty of men there too, but will build you up, and it's not toxic, or you can ask questions and you feel safe and you kind of have each other's backs. That's important. And just going booth rent was one of the scariest things for me, but for sure, it was my happy spot, is owning my own business and being my own boss.
Okay.
That to me was the best, but also the scariest.
The biggest jump, maybe.
The
Yeah.
biggest jump. Yes.
Cool. Well, Daemey, thank you for sitting down and chatting with me about hair and all things. I loved our little side tangent combo about the Kardashians and their hair because I legit, man, I tell you, I do not like, I don't look at hair much. It's not what makes me tick. But when you like brought that up, I'm like, oh, that's an interesting thought. Like I've never paid attention to that. So I feel like the next time I see a picture of the Kardashians, I'm gonna be
Mhm.
analyzing their hair. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know for sure. I know for sure Shakira, I saw a picture of her and it was like chin length. I'm like, what happened to all her hair?
Oh
Oh,
man.
right. She has extensions.
Oh yeah, because her hair always looked like
Yeah.
wild,
Mhm.
like very floofy and like out there.
Most of what you see in Hollywood is not real. Let's just put that out
Yeah,
there.
yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today. Any closing thoughts, any final encouragements, or how about a last thought? How would you encourage a person who might be listening to this who's not a hairstylist? How would you encourage them if they feel like they're in a rut with their hair, like to chat with their stylist?
I mean, for me, pictures. What's the saying? Pictures are worth 1,000 words. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't really
okay.
know what
Yeah.
sayings. There's some sort of saying like that, but pictures are wonderful. If you go through pictures and find things you like, for sure, show them to your hairstylist, and um, she'll let you know. Hopefully, if it would work for you or not. But if
Then
in
begin the delicate dance of
yeah,
the level of maintenance, or if it's
yeah,
possible, or how often
yeah.
you're going to be back in my chair in order to
Mhm.
maintain said style.
Right, right.
Got
And
it.
I mean, a lot of times people just don't speak hair, so pictures are helpful. But just
Hmm.
keeping an open mind that it's not going to look exactly like that, because in essence, a hairstylist is an artist. So we have our own art, and it all looks slightly different because that's how we do our thing.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to today's interview. I'm sure you love hearing Bill and I chat about various topics, but truly, in the heart of nuance, it is wonderful to bring on a guest and have a conversation. So I hope you enjoyed, and until next time.